What up, everyone? Switch Double here. And as always, well, it's early Monday, and I usually don't stream on Mondays, and especially not this early. But I was kind of a bit bored, and I didn't have much else to do. I mean, other than making some stories as usual, but since I didn't stream this weekend, the past weekend, that were last week, so I thought, well, why not? Why don't you do a bit of a short stream today and just see who else is going to join in the stream? I don't know if one of my friends will be there, but well, who knows? Well, what has been happening lately in my life? Not much, actually. Well, other from yesterday, I didn't feel so well. I had some, well, let's say I had a serious stomach pain, and it felt like someone had kicked me in the gut, like over and over. It felt such pain, and I could barely understand why, because during the day I felt perfectly normal. I just, luckily, it's has passed by now, so it just happened out of the blue. Like, I don't know why though. Normally, when you get some such stomach pain or something like that, you usually have been eating too much, or you had eating something or drink something that's had expired. Well, I wasn't hadn't done any of those. The only thing I had eaten, it was just only some bread that was close to be expired, but it was still some time before it did, so I don't think that's the cause. But I don't know. But at least I'm doing well better now. Also, um, what else? Well, I can do it as I'm updating about some of the stories I've been working on. Let's go see here. Well, there are in fact a few things I wanted to talk about as a channel update kind of go in a way, I guess. Um, a while back, when someone asked me to do some particular story, okay, I can look into that. But it happens in the past that when I looked into the story, or I had forgotten about it, but even when someone asked me to do a story, and I was like, someone actually did ask me to do um, King Aspen with Celestia. King Aspen is a deer king from only happened appearing in the G-Force comics. Even in fact this person had asked me to do this particular story um, several times for the past 2 years ago, 2 years or so, I think. But I always told this person I will making King Aspen with Celestia. It's when I get there, and I finally done a story. And so another thing is about my stories. I had mentioned in my channel update before that any audio stories that I had done in the past, or doing any future audio stories, unfortunately, it may not even happen as much as I wanted. Cause I had explained this at least before. Because before my new computer that I had before I got it, I had no problem to make any recordings with even a single headphone microphone, which I can do still. But for some reason, the quality, at least the volume, is is not the same as it used to be. And I don't understand to why my audio volume isn't the same quality or the same level as the previous audio stories have been. I'm not entirely sure exactly what caused that to begin with, but I have tried to figure out a way to make it possible. But then again, I'm not entirely sure if that's even remotely possible. So, any other stories for the future, well, it may no longer be possible at this point, but I will try to find a way to make it possible, but I can't make a 100% guarantee it is actually gonna work. I know that some a lot of my viewers had preferred with audio, like Robert Freeman said that he preferred my audio since he asked me for Diamond Tiara with Flurry Heart for his birthday this year as an audio. I told him that it may not be possible, but I will try. I will try to make it see as it seems to be possible, but I can't say much as a promise that if it will guarantee, because I don't even know myself if I can or not. But the fact is very strange. Because when I do happen to do my audio recordings on my computer with the headphones, the volume quality may not even be as it was as before. But when I do my streams, the volume quality are not much of an issue. So I really don't know what exactly causing that from the computer, from recording, but I'm not sure exactly though. But yeah, so it's just a bit of an issue. I will try to figure out a way, but I can't say for certainly if that's gonna work. But I will try. And some other ideas that I had also to mention, some future stores ideas, such as Lost Stores and True Friend Stores. I may have said that I might have been doing some Has-Been Hotel, maybe Hell of a Boss character store, Lost Stores and True Friend Stores. I'm afraid I may have to say that that type of stores with Hell of a Boss, Has-Been Hotel on my channel unfortunately is being cancelled. Since the show has only been regarded as a adult audience. And I know for a fact that most of my viewers is above 18 or older. But so even if I really had a dream, even if I wanted to make this as a stories, to make Has-Been Hotel Lost Stories being say Veggie with Charlie, Husk with Angel, maybe Baxter with what's her Nifty. You may be asking, what exactly prevents you from even doing it? Well, like I said, this is an adult show. So even though the fact, even if we know of Charlie and Veggie, at least especially those two works perfectly as a love stories and such. Even though I hope to have one day to be able to do Has-Been Hotel, Hell of a Boss as a love stories and True Friends stories for my channel, but after considering from that and with my talk with my girlfriend about it, we decided that type of content as a love stories is no longer going to happen. I'm afraid it's as official as we can get from that. I know that some of my viewers may actually have always wondered what other franchise will he extend to? Well, since originally from the very start, there was only just G4 that the only were in it from the beginning, from back in 2015. That was years before even G5 was even a thing. Even though in the very beginning, when I was focused on G4 stories and eventually extended to some Gravity Falls stories, Disney stories, Digimon, Pokemon, and others. And eventually, I expanded that to multiple different franchises. And I honestly thinking why not to be include some more? Now I had to include with some Star Wars, Halo characters, and I was planning to do some Sailor Moon love stories eventually. I have a few already in mind that I wanted to do, but if anyone would even had asked for other stories that eventually, like say, some anime, well, that might depends. That would depend on from which anime it is. Because there are so many animes out there in the world that I hadn't even heard of, or might have heard of, but never actually seen it. Like, Full Metal Alchemy, I think it's called. I had never seen that show from at all. I have only seen clips or heard about it, but so I can't do any love stories based on any actual anime if I haven't seen or at least had some full understanding or the basic understanding of what the show. Because if I happen to do a love story based on a show between two characters from it, and I make some major changes, or if I do happen to make a love story between, say, two of the main characters from the show, and people who have been watching my channel and they are big fans of that show points out to me that that is not what how they happened. So if I would happen to make a love story based on two characters from an anime which I've not even heard of or even seen, so making a story based on two characters, just make it blindly. People who have been watching my channel may actually point out that is not what they are not supposed to be together. They are actually siblings, not as friends from the beginning. And that would make a huge misunderstanding from how that particular thing is going to happen. So yeah, even though that some people have asked me some stories ideas in the past, like Robert asked me once if I would do Resistant Evil love stories, which I really don't, since it's basically in a world of zombies and other horror. I can't see myself as do that as all. So when it comes to anime, I will only do stories that I feel very much comfortable about, and of course, I will always look into the story first. Like, but even when I have been asked about the story, I will look into that one first beforehand, just to make sure so I get the understanding. Even if it might be from a show I have seen, but if I had even looked into those characters, well, it may be actually a bit, well, I'll say a bit disappointing, because if I happen to look into a show, or if I had been asked to do a love story from a show that only heard about and know some of the things about it, and if I said unfortunately I can't do that, since, well, there can be different reasons for that. Maybe I don't like the show, or I don't know so much about it, or it doesn't fulfill the same concept of what I prefer, but feeling comfortable to do. So since if I said no to people, I say often back in return in a comment, I hope that they understand that I won't be doing it this story. I understand that if they felt that I'm basically saying that unfortunately I won't be doing this story, since I just don't see any reason for it, or since I'm the one who actually makes all the stories from the start to finish, from start to the end. So would it be my final choice if I wanted to do the stories or not? I also would always tell the person back, I hope you understand. I don't blame you for if you don't want to be my fan anymore or my viewer anymore. which is understandable. I don't blame others for just asking me if I could do the story. Of course, it has happened in the past that I've been asked some if to make a story, and I always had to say back that I'm afraid I can't do that since, well, like I said, it can be different reasons. Actually, it was not long ago when some person did ask me if I could do a story based from a show about, I think like something about dragons. This is like a fantasy magical world. There was about a show I never even heard of. There wasn't an anime or anything. So I happened to look into that show a little bit more, just in case what it was about. But I just didn't feel any. I just didn't feel it was not something for I wanted to do. So I just told the person back in the comment, I'm afraid I won't be doing it. I hope they don't. I understand that they won't be want to be my fan anymore. I don't blame them for that. But the person who said back that they completely understand if I don't want to make a set the story, but there is only like a suggestion. It had happened before when some people ask me if I can do that as a love story. Of course, I'll always look into that. It can be from many reasons. It can be from a show I heard of, and it can be from a show that I had even liked myself. But I don't do any love stories or true friend stories based on horror movies or horror shows. Not at all. That is just one of the few reasons I really don't do it. I don't see no reasons to make a love story based on from a horror game, movie, or show. So if anyone even asks that, no, that's not gonna happen because I don't see no reason for it. I mean, it just might not because of I hate horror or anything. I actually am a horror movie fan, but it just since majority of my stories are just based on from actual like anime cartoons where there are no like such horror things involved. And it's just I the not the main reason is when I'm not doing that is because of my viewers. I don't want to scare them about how this like they suddenly oh wait that's a horror show and so yeah I really understand that most of my viewers had maybe just prefer some of the regular ones that I've done before. So yeah, it's just I really wanted to be able to make my own stores eventually. I mean, more out of my the stores I wanted. I mean, I always appreciate that people reached out to me in comments asking if I could do the stores for them, which I seriously don't have no much a problem with at all. I always appreciate if anyone asks me for a story, but of course it would have to make some sense. In well, like a few years ago, I think like 2 to 3 years ago, someone did ask me if I could do a love story based on Henry the Train with Fluttershy. I mean, at the point when I find out this question, I wasn't even aware of this question had it been asked. Why? I mean, considering that how many videos I have on my channel and how many despite how many videos I have, that will be a very hard task to keep a track or limits went for each single video for any of the comments. So when I first saw this comment about Henry the Train with Fluttershy as a love story, at first I wasn't sure if that's gonna work. I mean, after all, she is a living being. Meanwhile, as Henry is an inorganic life form. He's like similar to a transformer. But after some hard considering, thinking, deciding, I decided to do that. And yeah, it turns out to be perfectly well enough. And I have done some similar stories before since then, like with Optimus Prime with Twilight, Bumblebee with Applejack as a true friend and stuff. So it's like there is like, well, I mean, if I had done with the Henry with Fluttershy, then I decided why not to do it like a Transformers, because even the fact that they had literally officially made a comic series only for short numbers, only for short issues, were a crossover between Transformers and MLP universe. So that is the closest thing as an official as it is. So I was like, why not? Hmm? But was one factor that I was done. In the Transformers franchise, there is in fact a very strange happening. You may ask what? A human woman had a child with an Autobot. And you may be asking, wait a minute, how does it even possible? She is organic, and Transformers, or at least the Autobots or Decepticons, are in an organic life form, a mechanical life form. How is it even possible for a mechanical life form and organic life form to even have a child? Well, I have no idea. I don't know how that's even work. I know for a fact that many of my viewers had probably wondered if I will do more Transformer stories for some time, and I actually had been considering to do that, but for making a story between two different franchises possible, like if they're like crossing over, I will always have to have one crucial detail. How to make it possible. Because I know, because in order for that to happen, for like the Sonic universe with the MLP, okay, I got the inspiration from the Sonic X first episode on how Eggman's machine with a Chaos Emerald was malfunction, and how Sonic from his world ended up on Earth. So I made the same thing, but reversed, instead for Earth, it was an Equestria. Or for if it was going to be a Halo Star Wars character, the same thing. They're going to be pretty much the same thing, and unless if like say Transformers for MLP crossover stories I wanted to do, I will always have to have a crucial detail to fact how to make it possible. Because if I don't include the explanation in a story, my viewers might scratch their heads like, how did they end up in that universe in the first place? Similar to when I made, let's say, Dipper Pines with Twilight as a love story. I know that story was made a few years ago, how Twilight and her friends used the elements of harmony, and how somehow she was teleported to Gravity Falls. I was expecting that story to be that well. And some even ask, probably would ask, would you continue to do some other stories like Gravity Falls based on characters from the show? I mean, sure. I mean, I have seen characters like Dipper being shipped with Pacifica, Wendy, and I wouldn't be surprised if Dipper had been shipped with some of Mabel's friends from Gravity Falls, her female friends, since after all they're around the same age. So I don't see no reason for that. And if anyone even said, could you do a last story based on between Maple Pines with Pacifica Northwest? I mean, I probably could do that. I mean, after all, they are around the same, like I said, same age, from the same universe, and they had interacted with each other long enough so they will basically understand who each other's, well, personalities. And I would say for this, if that happens, I will make sure to make it possible. But from saying that, I just really hope that maybe one day I can do some other extension to other series from different franchises. But for now, I will be mostly focused on, say, G4, G5, maybe some Star Wars, Sailor Moon characters, and I presume other franchises out there as well, because there are so many franchises out there that I have always thought of doing some stories based on, but of course it to do. In fact, I had to do some more research. Well, when I say research, that means that I had to read some of the characters' personality, maybe rewatch some of the some old episodes from the show. It might be from one that I have seen, and I just want to make sure that well, just to make sure that I that it works. I just wanted to make sure that I don't make any sort of mistakes, so I remember, because there is one show that I wanted to do some love stories based on, but there is only a small problem. There's only one known female character by name, and that's the Dino Riders, a show from the late 80s. There's only female character that's from that show is Serena. Even though they have been known of other female characters like background characters, but they have never actually have any actual moment themselves to talk in show, or or they may have actually not even have any other or any actual official names. So that might be a little bit of a problem. But I really, really wanted to look into more, see what is possible. I mean, it just, of course, when it comes to other series, like some of the Disney characters, sure, I mean, there's a possibility I can always do some love stories, true friend stories, maybe true sibling stories based from any of the Disney shows, or, well, that depends on, of course, from which one it is. So, I mean, within Disney, there's so many. In fact, I recently made a new Frozen story, Anna with a male dragon. And at this point, I don't know how this one will be received by my viewers, and frankly speaking, I have no idea. Since I haven't really done this type of things before, like with a human to fall in love with an animal or a creature, an intelligent creature. If anyone even asked me what made me to come up with a story that Anna being shipped with an animal, like say a dragon, honestly, kind of reminds me of from Beauty and Beast. Well, I mean, technically he is a human, but just magically transformed beast. But I'm trying to just extend some of my stories. I mean, I did Celestia with Elsa as a love story, and that story was received quite well, better than I expected. I have been planning to do some more stories based from Frozen, like Luna with Anna, Elsa perhaps with Rarity, Twilight, and maybe some others, and of course, true friend stories. But at this point, I just don't know what else that might be possible to be made. Because not only Frozen, Sailor Moon is many of the stories I also wanted to do. Of course, there are so many else I had in mind. But at this point, it's too early to say exactly, well, how much of this, well, how much else there might be done for my channel for the next few months, next few years. It's, well, it's very difficult to say exactly since I can't say it myself since I honestly don't know. But considering that there are so many ideas that I wanted to have done, and even though there have been so many ideas that I want to do, but some have been put on side for a while, some actually being put on hold for longer periods, especially like my auto series that I have wanted to do. So it's possible my auto series may not actually even be made at all. Even though how very disappointing that is, but I will try to see if it's possible I can bring all the stories back as usual. Because even if the other stories that have been posted on my channel lately, those are stories I had already made. Some of them got being made months ago, even perhaps over a year ago. So so that's about those art stories. Will I bring back them? I can't guarantee if it's gonna be returned, if the story is back as possible, but I just wanted to see if I can. I can't guarantee that's gonna work, but well, that's all I want to say for this. Since, well, I think maybe it's time for me to end the stream here since I just want to do a little bit of short stream and it's past half an hour, so until next time, everyone, this is Rich Diablo signing off. Bye.